Welcome to Luxe Visionaries, the talk show where the most influential minds in ultra high-end living share what really drives their success. In every episode, we sit down with the trailblazers, redefining what bespoke, personal, and purposeful luxury truly means. Nothing here is scripted or staged. It's unfiltered, unvarnished, and unlike anything you'll find elsewhere in the world of luxury.
It was day 2 of the Monaco Yacht Show 2024, and I remember the sun was boiling hot in the French Riviera, and I was working and actually helping out as a hostess. So I was basically running around the whole day between decks with brochures and ice cold water when I spotted her, Eleonora Pitasso, our visionary guest of today. Everyone knows her. She's an icon in the yachting industry, but what I'm most proud of is that she's also a guide and a mentor for young women who want to start their career in such a challenging industry. And I remember spotting her on this amazing huge yacht, talking to this couple, clearly potential buyers, about a new build. But she was telling them a love story. It wasn't really a sales pitch. And that was the first time that I realized what true bespoke storytelling about luxury sounds and looks like. So I'm most delighted to welcome Eleonora today on this episode. As you know, my name is Rebecca Gabbi and I am Vice President at Lexden Lux, and I will be your moderator. You also know that I have a partner in crime, Professor Dr. Phil Klaus, co-founder of Klaus Lux and awarded luxury CX strategist.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world, and thank you for joining us for the Luxe Visionaries. And today we have quite a visionary with us. And we have today Eleonora Pitasso as our guest. And Eleonora is not just for ever and a day in the yachting industry and shaking it and moving it in every way possible. No, she's also, as we just found out, now today is the 10 years anniversary with Burgess. Is that correct?
It is correct, Phil.
So, congratulations to the 10 years anniversary.
We made it.
As I said before, no, don't worry, go on.
Now, as I was saying, today I posted a nice story. I have a nice Betty Boop statue. I will show it to you.
Show it.
It's the combat lady.
Betty Boop.
So this is the statue that looks, oversees me and says, okay, you go, girl. So there we go. So like Betty Boop.
And I never saw her in a combat outfit at all. So all in camouflage. Marvelous, you know. And while we were talking, because we have to tell to the audience that we just spoke a little bit before, I also found out that Eleonora, you are a vanguard for the women movement inside of yachting, correct?
Yeah.
7 years ago. What happened 7 years ago? Tell us about it.
So, 7 years ago, I had the opportunity to, provided by Burgess, to join the company as a sales broker. And 7 years ago, which doesn't seem like a huge lifespan, but in the industry it is, because 7 years ago, we were very, very rarely spotted as women in sales. So there were not a lot of fellows. And hopefully and thankfully, this role that was a bit kind of trailblazing at the time has given and opened the pattern to many ladies that today are joining the commercial roles and into a sales broker. So I actually had the pleasure to follow a few of them during the last years, and on the basis of what I had become, they told me, "Oh, we want to be a sales broker, you know." And I said, "Okay, you need to be mindful that you will need to work hard, to be passionate, to know the product, to know the client." And actually, I found out that a couple of them now today they joined the same role. So I'm extremely happy to know and see reality, that the dream of these girls came reality. And on the basis of also discussing a lot with me in the years, we exchanged messages and Instagram DMs and LinkedIn, and it was really, really beautiful to see that you could eventually be a support to all this women community. And also Andrea Tagliaferro of Yacht Dame, Women in Yachting. She trailblazed this association in the industry together with Rose Dam, and it was a bit the same parallel movement. We saw finally, these women in yachting moving along and saying, hey guys, we're here, and we're not only, the typical charter management, we're not typical charter broker, we do sales, we do engineering, we are project managers, and we gonna cover a lot of key roles. And I'm very pleased to announce that after 7 years, I see that there's been a real progress, and I'm happy to have contributed to that, because obviously I've seen a lot of girls that complimented with me, not because I want to be an arrogant person, but makes pleasure that if you can give an example to these ladies. I came from a little brokerage house. I've been a supplier, so a very, very hard role past 13 years ago. And now, you're able to tell a story to other girls and say, hey, you can make it. You must be resilient. You need to be skillful. You have to be clever. You have to be serious. You have to be professional. And yes, you have, all of a sudden, you have a sales record of boats sold, beautiful transactions, and a wallet portfolio of clients. So yeah. So it's going to be something that I will keep up with a lot of immense pleasure, and seeing more and more women, of course, in yachting.
This is marvelous. So 7 years ago, you pretty much broke through the glass ceiling, and now you're entering more and more women inside the industry. And to be quite honest, when I look in our yachting elective at our university, or looking at the people that are moving into yachting, it's predominantly female, so it's women who want to go into the yachting industry, which I always thought makes sense, because boats are by definition female, the sea and everything that comes with it. So it's just a natural.
Of course, absolutely, everything that comes with it, because the boat is not, you're selling the boat to be a smooth ride, but you obviously know that there will be a lot of waves and maybe not very fair winds all the time. So that is where eventually the right expert and professional comes in, and saying, okay, yeah, it's going to be and enjoy the ride. However, there must be some bumpy moments, and that will still keep your adventure enjoyable, obviously, because if you are with a trusted person that knows the process, then will help you just going through these little hiccups and just having the great pleasure of enjoying your boat, because at the end, the boat is life experience. The senses are waking up. The boat has a connection with the water, with the person. I've seen so many committed yacht owners in my career. It's almost not only passion; it's a devotion. It's really devotion. You need to be close to the sea. You cannot. I've assisted to many also clients that they were saying, "Oh, I'm done with yachting. That's it. I'm fed up. I can't do." And after all of a sudden, actually, I saw a smaller boat, or maybe we can charter again, and because it comes really from our inner soul, the connection with the sea, and these boats now are so beautiful. Because also all the shipyards, the designer made an incredible evolution in the last 15, 20 years. The boat has not become only the family lunch of wealthy people that could display their wealth, and saying, okay, we're having lunch on the half deck of the boat, and that is our social status. It's not anymore a social status. It's a way of living, because there are a lot of people now that they want to enjoy boating, and boating and yachting are at all levels now and all measures. So the design and the builders have made an extraordinary job to make sure to combine finally the lifestyle and the experience with the product itself. It was actually a debate that we had a couple of weeks ago, because there is a stream of brokers that still think, yeah, but the boat is still a product and that's it. But there were a lot of people buzzing in the room, because I feel that, having been a charter manager for 3 years at Burgess, I also could see how much the experience is important. I was seeing very happy clients, frustrated clients, enthusiastic clients, crazy clients. I've seen it all, and these cannot just come from the product. Yes, of course, you choose a boat, but already for charter, you choose a boat for charter. Why? It's not just because you want to be in Capri, because the boat needs to have some criteria that will match with your dream location. And therefore, you're not only selling a product. The product is the vector, A to B, to go from Naples to Capri. But we're not selling a vector. We're selling something that is going to make an enjoyable cruise between Naples and Capri. These clients that can be yacht owners or charter clients, they just feel themselves being on board, enjoying their champagne at the sunset. Maybe their kids are playing in the little jacuzzi. And that it goes with the product, with the designer, how the boat has been built, how it's been treated, because obviously maintenance of the boat is very important. So we have a compendium of things in the boat. That's why I think that the boat is a real experience, and it's not only a mere product out from a builder. And that's why also we've seen this major boom of yachting industry in the last 10 years. I mean, after during COVID, we saw incredible new designs, incredible new features, a new generation of clients coming in, because 7 years ago, there were kids that were just going to college, and today they are maybe tech millionaires, and they want to access their first boat and yacht. So in 7 years, for some people, there is a really, really huge evolution of the way of living something and the way of accessing also the industry. So I think that there has been a major step in all senses, from my role until the product role and the design and the activity and the experience.
No, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from. Also based upon our conversation with hundreds of yacht owners, is clearly that one thing that always has the underlying message is the love for Nautica.
Yes.
That people love it.
They love it, and especially, I've seen. I had a couple of clients that were very, very passionate yacht owners of sailing yachts, and they were building their sailing yachts, and they were enjoying their sailing yachts, and they were really enjoying the sailing yachts. They were doing regattas and cruises and sailing. It was really an amazing journey, and there it just can be the passion. You cannot just saying, okay, this is just a product. It's a nice sailing boat. No, it's not. I want to build another one. I'm going to sell this one because I want to build another one, more performing, faster or slower or bigger, more voluminous, with more space, with less space. This is passion that is guiding you in the choice of your yacht owner career as well. And some of them, they just say, I'm done with all the operational things, but I will keep chartering, because they will still want to keep a contact with the water and the sea and the experience.
And this is something where I need to take advantage of you as an expert here to share that with our audience. You clearly highlighted, and that mirrors our research too, that the super yacht ownership experience is not always a very desirable one. No. But people would love to be on the boat or charter it. Yeah. However, the bottleneck of the whole thing is, if no one likes the ownership anymore, we don't have enough boats or any boats to be chartered. So how can we solve that?
Actually, it's like the yin and the yang. There is always the owner and there is always the charterer. So I think that actually at the moment, the market demand obviously is very high in terms of chartering, especially from COVID, because people that didn't want to have the burden of a yacht ownership, because yacht ownership, you need to be very aware and conscious about also the implications and about having a crew. You're basically feeding a family that stays on board your yacht for the whole year. So you're going to have, the burden of the operations, the berthing of the boat, certificates, safety, compliance, refit works, maintenance. And if I start saying that immediately to a prospective buyer, it will run away. So, so sometimes you have to understand also what is the idea that the client in front of you has, and saying, okay, maybe we can start chartering, because chartering gives you really the pure essence of the experience. Obviously, it's not going to be the boat of your dreams. It's a boat that you are dreaming to be on board. But after some charters, actually what they do, they try several seasons, several years, and after they decide to make a step. And we've seen it. We've seen it charterers that they charter for 10 years of their life and finally said, okay, we move up. We become yacht owners. And actually they enjoyed their journey. So they upsized for 2 or 3 times. And this comes from a charter. So at the end, I had the experience without all the obligations of the operational management. They enjoyed it and they said, okay, we're ready for the next step. And this is where probably the good professional needs to guide the client and say, okay, now you want to make this big change. So these are the things that you should know, because at some point you will bump into that. It happens that sometimes, unfortunately, there is an approximation of the industry, It's they tend to... Some fellows, they tend to hide some aspects because they said, otherwise I'm going to break the energy of the purchasing process, which is true. But sometimes it's also the other side, that you confront your buyer into a very problematic list of things. And the guy would say, all of a sudden will feel overwhelmed and say, oh my God, but all these things, why you haven't told me before? And a few of them can even walk away. So for me, being honest with the client, even if you know that it can take a bit of shout, because you are not always welcoming, the laughter and the joy, because you know that you must be serious and also present what there is behind or below deck. And but once you know that you presented the thing properly, at least your client is going to navigate into something that he will be more, or she will be more conscious about. And there is going to help the buying process. I had in the past some deals that were very complex, but actually the fact that there was a very good purchasing team around the client, and the client that was made aware step by step of what would have been eventually the challenge, then if we would have hidden all these challenges, the client would have walked away much, much earlier. And in this case, we arrived to finalize the deal, and the client is happy, is enjoying the boat, and obviously knows what are going to be the challenges for the months after, in terms of operations and maintenance and management. So that's why, also the brokerage house like Burgess has been created and raised up like that. We can offer this service and making sure that the client is fully aware of the whole experience. Fortunately, in the good and in the bad. It's like a marriage when you buy a boat, So you need to be conscious of what you're buying.
No, I completely understand. As a matter of fact, one person, a yacht owner that we spoke to, and he said, I can easily explain the difference between chartering and buying a yacht. Buying a yacht is marriage, just as you described, Eleonora, ups and downs, constant work, never ending. But he said, chartering is like meeting a nice lady, spending the evening together, woke up in the morning, go separate ways, no strings attached.
Exactly. So there are some clients that likes the no strings attached in their experience, and some that they really want to get married, and they got married again and again and again, because obviously after if they sell one boat, then they want the second one.
No, and I love, because you mentioned something based upon all the work we do with yacht owners and ultra high net worth individuals. I developed a framework that also Lexden use. It's just a MEPA framework. And the first point you mentioned, and you stretched tremendously, is how you manage the expectations.
Correct.
That cannot be underestimated. And I have to tell you, Eleonora, based on all the conversation I have, I love that you're the exception rather than the rule to these things.
Yes.
You know, so I tip my hat to you, you know, that you're doing it this way, because this is the only way one should do. And I believe you should be an example, which again is great also for the women coming into this business, that they have you as a role model that they can follow up on.
Thank you, and it's true, and I corroborate what you said about, you know, the management, the expectations management. I would also add something: the frustration management. Yeah, because this unfortunately is the risk of our role, you know, with the client. The frustration management, because you can have the disappointment and you have the frustration, and especially comes in a new build. Why? Because a new build is a marathon. You are sharing years of your life with the person that is notably the owner, and with the team. And obviously, in this case, you have a lot of feelings. You know, it's not like chat. You can be disappointed in a moment because you step on board and the weather is not nice. That we cannot, you know. We cannot call God and say, send us sunny weather. This I can't do it, unfortunately. I've not been paid enough for, but joking. But yeah, this is something that, okay, well, it's a bit disappointment. It's gonna come back, the sun. The disappointment can be, okay, well, I was thinking, you know, that we could go to Capri, but there are 2 meters away. You cannot do it, so you will not see Capri. But in a new build adventure, then you have a lot of feelings. You have all the shades of feelings. You know, you have disappointment, frustration, anger, everything. Like, there are moments where I've seen some yacht owners say, I give up, that's it. Sell all, I'm selling all, I don't want any more the boat. And and you're confronting yourself into a massive job because you've been following this for years and years and years. I mean, I've been following now a very big project over 60 meters. And if I tell you the numbers of email I've been receiving for the past 4 years, and it's already, you know, not finished. So the
number. Now we want to know the number.
the number of emails, we are over 58,000 emails. Yeah, because the emails are the purchase team, the owner's team, the lawyers, the shipyard, the suppliers. So obviously, you know, if you are, you know, representative the buyers and the owner's team, in that case, you are in copy of most of everything. And you got this immense stream of emails and communications because, you know, I always, and this I will always keep quoting it, my first boss, my first company, he told me, Ele, you have to remember something. A 30-meter boat, which in 20 years ago was a very big boat, has 15,000 spare parts. 15,000. So you have to imagine how it's complex to start thinking that these 15,000 spares, there are the lights, the cabling. I'm asking the shipyards to quantify the kilometers of cabling that are run through a boat, and we are speaking about distances that can cover Amsterdam to Monaco for large yachts. You know, it's kilometers. You say, who's supplying that? Who's doing that? Because the magic is also below deck, is under deck, and this is where I love the process. But obviously, it's so complex, and there are so many items to show and to explain to an owner that some of them, they want to be very involved, and this is where the frustration management comes, because obviously you've got change orders, you've got some delays, you've got supply issues, because obviously supply chain, fortunately since COVID, hasn't recovered fully. We have massive waiting times just for a few items. I have a boat now on refit, and there are some items that they're not a major stuff. We can live without, let's say that. but the waiting times are 13, 14 weeks for a table. So can you imagine? And so go and explain the owner that maybe decides to buy the table in May, and he sees already the table obviously on the deck of the boat in July.
But Eleonora, unlike most people who are entering in the brokerage part, you have a supply background.
Yes, that's right. And I'm very thankful for having gone through the whole steps of the pyramid, because being a supplier, you also understand the challenges that you have below the builders and the brokers. Because obviously for me, as when I was a supplier, so, for me, seeing the builder or the broker was like, oh, Everest, what is this? Because the suppliers are really the backbone of the builders. But if you have major issues, you also have to have the ability to discuss with the suppliers and making sure that you can make it happen. So that's also the capacity of a very good builder that gets organized and tries eventually to negotiate and say, guys, yeah, is ordering the table now. Can you just try to make a miracle and swap? Maybe we will tell him that the bedside table of a guest cabin is going to be delivered later on, but at least he will have his table too. These are the capacities that you are requesting behind the scenes as a builder to the supplier. And this aspect of the industry, for example, we don't see it very much. We are more focused on the deal, on the boat for charter at 3 million euros per week, obviously. But why this boat is valued to be chartered 3 million per week? Because the work behind that, it's huge. And that's why I keep saying it's true, the boat is not an industrial product. It's impossible. It's hand craftsmanship. It's just the hands of a pool of 1,000 people that are staying on board and creating something that is of a sophistication that is unbelievable. Despite the fact that we say that the industry is conservative, and we haven't evolved a lot compared to the digital marketing or other sectors, but already the work that you put behind, it's like you're making a work of art. Still, we're making work of arts in 2025. And then there's another timing, there is another management. So this is where frustration management is extremely important. And the more obviously you can bring from your expertise to the table of the owner, to the buyer, and dealing with the builder and all the parts, then it's going to be beneficial for him and for you. And also why we're earning a good commission.
Why not? And I remember in our conversation before we started recording, you mentioned how you were looking up to be, and it was like a dream to become a brokerage. But now, when I hear you, because we find a lot of the young managers or the young people entering the industry, they're like the glamour and the flashiness of sales and brokerage. Would you recommend to them, do something else first, get more of a background knowledge before you?
Actually, it's something that I suggested to one of my mentees, because she was at a crossroad at some point, and I told her, listen, it's amazing to be part of big brokerage houses because you have the whole knowledge together, but you don't have the whole knowledge for you, because you always have to rely to your colleague of charter or your colleague for yacht management, which is great for me because they are of major support, obviously. But the fact that you get also your insight, your perspective, your view, and your knowledge is going to help you massively, because you cannot dial in and calling your colleague at 11 p.m. in New York when you're meeting a client. You need really to also to get the wealth of your own knowledge and saying to the client, yes, this is eventually what we can do, and preparing eventually the ground to check with an expert. But I told to this beautiful, lovely girl that she's now a sales broker, go on a small brokerage house. The small brokerage house is going to make you do everything. You're going to be chartering, you're going to be cleaning the carpet, you're going to be making the coffee to guests, you're going to go to bring the car keys to the client, or yes, because they all think, oh, we're gonna coming out from glittering effect. We're all in glitter and gold. And no, it's not. To get the glitter and gold, first you have to roll well yourself in the dust. After you take a shower, then you're ready to the golden glitter. But you need first to feel the dust on you. And after you're gonna get the gold.
And not everything that glitters is gold.
So it's definitely something that I suggest to people that are asking me what would be the best to do. And I think that the versatility in our business is do several things that can help you shaping what you will be in 5 to 10 years. This is what I was thinking when I always opted for a different challenge. So there we are. So now also my parallel challenge is digital advertising. Why not? Never stop.
Never stop learning, I absolutely agree with you. And it's a shame that we only have 1 more minute to wrap it up, okay? Eleonora, sei meraviglioso.
Grazie, Phil.
It's like I could talk with you for hours. But
we need to make it. When I will be in Monaco again, I promise you.
Definitely, I will take the time out of this, and probably we can have you back for somewhere in the future. It was marvelous to listen to you. Great insights, inspirational. If somebody doesn't know you or sees you, they should just come to you, and you're so open-minded and open-hearted, and talk with you. And I will encourage all our students to have a chat with you before they decide which part of their career should be in yachting and where they should start. Exactly. So thank you again. It was marvelous.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you, Rebecca, and thank you
so much
having me here and with this lovely chat, and full of sun, and the spring season is on, so let's go for charters and boats.
Marvelous.
And that's a wrap on today's Luxe Visionaries. If this conversation inspired you or gave you something to think about, please do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, and share it with those who appreciate real insights. The future of luxury isn't coming, it's already here, and we're giving you the front row seat. So until next time, stay bold, stay curious, stay visionary.